Okay. This is picking up a part 4 of chapter 21. I told you in the beginning, it was very long. This is from the book, of course, that God dictated to me, as he dictated the Torah to Moses. Now, this is 52, and many people don't realize that 52 is the start of 53 in the last 3 verses. And they're in quotes, though very few seem to know about it. It's a complete demarcation from what 52 is about. And it's about the return of the exiles. All of them. All 13 tribes. It's the remnant. It's God's prophecy fulfilled of the return of the remnant. And reaching Jerusalem, Ezra tells us the Israelites settled in their towns. The northern kingdom was inhabited by Gentiles from when the northern kingdom became exiles, or deported, and then Gentiles imported. So the exiles from the northern kingdom had to make new lands in Judah. I don't know, the Bible doesn't exactly tell us how it was determined who got what tracts, or however they did it. But the Israelites does not mean 2 of the tribes. If you say Israelites, you're talking about all 12 tribes and the Levites, the 13th tribe, that was not allotted a piece of land in the promised land. So I have commentary in the book on verses 1 through 12. And there's some very good information. And again, you can find this book at keithmccarty.wordpress.com. The first writing you come to, they're all from God, by the way, the entirety. Is something like Day of the Lord versus Messianic Era, or vice versa. And then the next one is the book itself, Isaiah 53 and the Day of the Lord. And the life of God's righteous servants in there too. So we're going to pick up on 52, 13, 14, and 15. Beginning part 4. That's going to take care of 52. And then we'll go ahead and launch into 53. It's long too. There's a lot of commentary. Because it's not only Rashi, it's me. You know, God's righteous servant Moshiach, prophet like Moses, Elijah, a man in divine beings, is the important part of that, because each of those righteous servants that are now here and see a time is coming, they've arrived, all described in my description of 53. Beginning here at 52, 13, 14, and 15 in quotes. That's the demarcation. We're no longer talking about the return to exiles. Okay. Now Rashi, when we quote Rashi, we first read his Bible version of the verse. And then mine is from the JPS. I repeat it also. And then we have our commentary. Rashi's always first, I'm second. Okay, here's Rashi's 13. Behold, my servant shall prosper. He shall be exalted and lifted up, and he shall be very high. Rashi. Behold, my servant shall... This is Midrash form. Take a verse, break it down, show or give an opinion on what every part means to have a full understanding of it. Behold, my servant shall prosper. Behold, this is Rashi. At the end of days, my servant Jacob, i.e., the righteous among them, shall prosper. He's talking about Israel, Jacob. His name was changed to Israel. By the way, that exalt, that's what Jews for Judaism uses in their commentary on Isaiah 53 for world exaltation. Not only is it not world exaltation, that's what it appears to be. They go out of their way to show it. Not only is it doesn't say world exaltation, actually what it is exaltation for the exiles rebuilding the temple. The exaltation came through the building of the separate temple. It's got nothing to do with the world. But not only that, it's got nothing to do with the 13 tribes, the exiles returning. No, this is what 53 is supposed to start with. This should have been 1, 2, and 3. 13, 14, 15 is why it's put in quotes. It's a separation. Keith. Indeed, my servant shall prosper, be exalted, and raised to great heights. A little different, not much. My servant shall prosper, be exalted, and raised to great heights. Okay, my commentary. My servant is now the Gentile and not the exiles who becomes my righteous servant in Isaiah 53:11 after passing the test of devotion in Isaiah 53:10 when he makes himself an offering for guilt in a covenant with God from a sinful man whose life has been lowly, full of grievous events and serious injuries, a man of pain and suffering, familiar with disease that the Spirit of God alights upon, to the crown of God's righteous servant who rises to great heights. And this is from Isaiah 11. That's where we find Moshiach, the anointed one, the twig of the shoot of the stump of Jesse, which I have a video on before this. The stock of Jesse that has remained standing shall become a standard to peoples. Nations shall seek his counsel, and his abode shall be honored. That's talking about Moshiach. The abode of the righteous servant is humble when the Lord cuts him off from the world of material things, cut off from the land of the living, just as Ezekiel was. In Isaiah 53:8, and in the end, the abode of the servant, the righteous servant, is one to be honored. In Isaiah 11, verse 10, from a poor man to a rich man, with the many as his portion, and the multitude as his spoil. That would be those who come to believe in me and become righteous, go back to synagogue, stop practicing Hebrew, becoming as learned as you can in all things Jewish. I mean, from cooking food, food itself, Yiddish, Talmud, Hebrew Bible, because that's going to be the information of your mind that God provides in heaven. It's a Jewish heaven for the Jewish people. And that will have people writing the Torah upon their own hearts. They're going to start studying again. They're going to get serious about being observant. You know, this is going to help the synagogues. The fact that God doesn't recognize their rabbis shouldn't bother your people one bit, because you have an option, rabbis. You don't want to be dismissed before the eyes of God, and you do want to enter the scroll of remembrance in this, the day of the Lord, and see the Jewish heaven. Now, the scroll of remembrance is for a special heaven, for the day of the people, the day of the Lord, who heed him, honor him, and listen to his prophet, which is rarely the case according to him. He told Ezekiel, they're not going to listen to you. They don't listen to me. But I'm going to make your forehead like adamant hard as, like adamant. And you shall not fear or be dismayed by my people. And that's the 5 refinement I've talked about. 14. Rashi. his Bible, whatever he's using, his Bible. As many wondered about you, quote, how marred the appearance is from that of a man, and the features from that of people, close quote. Rashi. And as many wondered, as many peoples wondered about them when they saw them in their humble state, and said to one another, how marred is his, brackets, Israel's, appearance from that of a man. See how their features are darker than those of other people. So, as we see with our eyes, so as we see with our eyes. I'm not quite sure what it means either. How marred is Israel's appearance? Well, all the Jews gathered together as one man. They're called Israel, the patriarch, which is Jacob. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing wrong with Jacob. I mean, he wasn't afflicted by God, or all these other things the righteous servant goes through. So I don't know quite what he's saying. This is my 14. And this is from the JPS. Just as the many were appalled at him, so marred was his appearance, unlike that of man, his form beyond human semblance. Midrash. So marred was his appearance, unlike that of man. Okay, based on Isaiah 53:10 and its primary purpose, this is the beginning of identifying the righteous servant as a man with disfigurement, blemished with disease, by God. He is not a man without defect, such as lambs and rams for a sin offering and a guilt offering in the Torah. God made sure the way he orchestrated my life from birth, though he did not speak to me till I was 50, that I fit this, but you can't put Jesus in there. He's never crushed with disease. He's never afflicted by God. He wasn't born blind, lame, crippled, disfigured. We'll get to it. How could a man today fit the description of Isaiah 14 with his appearance marred, unlike that of man, brackets, normal men? And just so marred, he shall startle many nations. There is one way. First of all, there's a little hyperbole there. How bad it is. Well, because of what he does. There is one way and still be alive to fulfill verse 52:15. By way of example, to describe such a man who comes when the land blooms again, and Jerusalem has been rebuilt, which began about 70 years ago, 1948. If I were to be seen with all of my injuries from accidents and surgical operations at one time, before healing, together with my congenital disfigurement, my appearance and features would be marred from that of a man in people. This is my history. Again, God, these are all God's words. Write this down. And of course, I was familiar with the material. It took me a long time to do Isaiah 53 in the day of the Lord. I had to learn the New Testament and the Hebrew Bible. But I knew about my life, so it only took a couple of weeks to throw this together. It's an easy read. It's really just pointing out how I fit 53. That's what it's for. I was born prematurely in the 7th month, without the muscles of my right breast, nothing here, and with a disfigured right shoulder, much shorter, and arm which is thinner and weaker than my left arm, a withered arm. I would have a 4-inch wound from surgery to remove tissue above the missing right breast when I was 2 years old. I was small, and my parents were told I would not live to see the next day. My intestines hadn't formed properly, or completed forming, 7th month birth, and I couldn't take milk or anything. They got me through it. My feet would have third-degree burns from standing on the ashes of hot coals at a 4th of July celebration when I was 4, which I remember clearly. My right knee would be a gaping wound from being impaled upon a broken glass bottle after being tripped by my dog while running in a field when I was 10. It was stuck in the ground, nose down, where you drink from. That was stuck in the ground. It was sticking straight up, and the bottle had been broken off of it. That's what my knee came down on. I remember that well, too. I remember them all. My left knee would be sliced open from broken glass. I crawled over playing a game when I was 11 and had to be stitched up. My 2 front teeth would be gone, knocked out by a telephone receiver when I was 12. No comment. Each foot would be pierced twice by nails I stepped on at a construction site when I was 17. And I have to laugh because everybody else did. It was lunchtime on the construction crew. I stood up and there was a board with nails sticking up on either side of the board. My foot went down on 2 of them, came through my left foot. I leaped in the air, screamed, and I came down on my right foot on the other 2 nails. It was like a world record. 4 nails in one moment. My knee would be sliced open from glass. I crawled over playing a game when I was 11. Oh, I just read that. My torso would be open from the top of my rib cage. I mean, I got a big scar down to my pelvic bone. From surgery to repair a .22 caliber gunshot to my abdomen that came in on the front right side, went straight across my body, through my bladder, intestines, and colon, and lodged, it was at a kind of an angle, and lodged in my left buttock. When I was 18. My upper jaw, the teeth, gums, and bone would be severed from my skull from orthopedic surgery with my face swollen to twice its normal size when I was 38. It's because of the headaches I was having. I thought it was jaw-related, temporal mandibular joint dysfunction. It turns out, and I've learned, he proved it to me. God started and kept those headaches going from the age of about 25 to 43. Every day. It was difficult to practice law. It's kind of the reason I became a book lawyer. I really wanted to be a trial lawyer, but I just couldn't take it. It was just too much. But I went to work every day. I had my own practice for a while. Oil and gas. My torso was opened again. Same cut, same scar. To remove an 8-inch malignant cancerous tumor that had burst through my colon. I survived the colon cancer with surgery and chemotherapy, but subsequent tests revealed that the cancer had spread to my lungs, and it was too advanced to treat. I asked, what does that mean? You're not going to treat it. They said, there's no reason to. You're dying. You're gonna, if you probably have about a month. You need to prepare to die. And I said, okay. Never saw a doctor again. And I did. I mean, for a couple of years, all I did was walk around the city. I was in a kind of a denial. I refused to believe I was really dying. I didn't care if I had lung cancer or not. I just didn't think about it. And yet my emotional state was not good. You know, I was all alone. You know, my kids had all grown up, moved on. The chemo was tough. I was all alone. I've never had a lot of friends, really. Just a real loner. I was told I would soon die, stage 4 diagnosis. I have not seen a doctor for lung cancer from the day forward. It was when the terrorists hit New York 22 years ago, and I was 44 years old. I'm 66 today. I would be very thin, about 145 pounds. That's small for me. I'm usually closer to 200. And I'm over that right now. That's going to change, I presume. Can't say for sure. Not having self-will, I can't decide to go on an exercise program. No, God has to decide it. I have no self-will. I know better than to ask for anything. That's just asking for a beating, as far as I'm concerned. Well, chastisement. What did you just ask for? What did you just say? It's like God to talk to you like that. Well, Ma. I was just wondering. I won't do it again. Excuse me. My ankles would be bruised and swollen from severe sprains while playing basketball and running at various ages. My chin would be lacerated from striking a wall at the end of a foot race when I was 21. And I would be covered with the childhood diseases of measles and mumps. Let me add this. This is before God spoke to me, when I was 50. Which is a great story. It's, I think, chapter 7 in the life of God's righteous servant, and it's titled, God Speaks to an Atheist. It's pretty interesting. But let me add this. To these wounds and all the stitches and scars that, that developed to heal them, God has added a broken hand. You know what he did? He has me, walking on stones in a ravine by a creek. And I mean, we're going fast. And I can't grab the little trees for balance or anything. And we did this for several days, this and that. You want me to turn it off and start again? Oh, I think I won't. Anyway, I had gotten to the end of it, and I was trying to get my breath. He was working me out. We also swam a lot early on. He's totally gotten away from the exercise thing since COVID. But we used to be a member at the gym. But all of a sudden, my hand just raised up. Right over a big stone. I mean, I'm talking about big stones that you can actually step on. Some of them wiggling up, some of them are slimy. And I could feel him stick my feet to that slime. So, y'all have got everything on autofocus. I can't tell you. I just need better equipment. I can't afford it right now. I got this equipment, including this TV backdrop, with the initial COVID payment, I think. Yeah, broke my hand. And my hand just came down and went bang! And broke this bone, which I had broken before. And he wouldn't let me go to the doctor. He says, go grab that branch and pull down. I grabbed this branch of a tree and pulled down, and the bone snapped back into place. I set my bone. And then he put his power around it just like it was a cast. It was healed in about 3 days. Although I did not have good movement of it for almost a year. It was real tight. Cracked my ribs on a railroad track. I was running down a railroad track and an invisible rope appeared down on the tracks, which my foot hit. I just went flying through the air, and it looked like my head was going to get crushed on a rail. And all of a sudden my body just flipped. And my head went past the rail and I cracked my ribs over here. I cursed him for an hour. Easy. Half an hour. I got up and I just started running. I was so mad. That's what he's been getting rid of. Yeah, that's not there anymore. Today I just get up and I'd say, when's it going to be enough? I'd say something. But, it was pretty wild. And he slammed me to the ground on cement 3 or 4 times, breaking my chin open, cracking my skull, ruining a nerve up here. Skinned up face and everything. So, that is how a man could be the description of the Lord's righteous servant in Isaiah 53:14, and, quote, just so, this is 15, he shall startle many nations. Kings shall be silenced because of him, for they shall see what has not been told them, shall behold what they never have heard. Okay, here's 15. So, well, you heard the description. It's certainly not, the birth is an affliction by God. That's never happened to all the Jewish people. Gathered together as one man. It's never happened. They've never been crushed with disease as one man, Israel. They don't fit 53, Israel doesn't, any more than Jesus does. If they say Jesus just doesn't fit it, I say neither does Israel. Not even close. And let's see you go out and be his representation in this the day of the Lord. How are you going to manage that? You going to gather every Jew on the face of the earth to be Israel? I don't think so. And I'm here to teach you what God has had me write. You going to teach yourself? Well, if I hadn't written it, what are you going to do since he's not talking to you? Crushed with disease, exposed to death, and given long life. That's me, lung cancer. 22 years ago. Death sentence. And I've seen my children. I know, but it's almost a half an hour, and I'm sure we're going to flip it off and check everything again. This is the new memory card. I can only say it's my camera. But sometimes it comes in and it stays good for the entire half hour. I really don't have an answer. Here's 15 of 52. He shall cast down many nations. Kings shall this is Rashi. He shall cast down many nations. Kings shall shut their mouths because of him. For what had not been told them, they saw. And at what they had not heard, they gazed. Rashi, Midrash. What had not been told them concerning any man, they saw in him. They gazed. His answer to interpretation of they gazed is they gazed. So shall he cast down many nations. Okay, Midrash. So now, even for his hand, his hand will become powerful, and he will cast down the horns of the nations who scattered him. They shall shut their mouths at a great bewilderment and for honor. That's Rashi's commentary that it's Israel. This is from the JPS, my commentary. Hey, we're back in focus. Just as he shall startle many nations, kings shall be silenced because of him. Nations are considered any Gentile lands. Kings shall be silenced. Nations shall be startled, for they shall see what has not been told them. In other words, they've never heard of what's happening right now. That would be me also. Shall behold what they never have heard. Well, they'll see me and behold it. And yet they've never heard